This book had me glued to my seat right till the very end and even beyond the last page. Hey everyone, this is Rainbow Hearts Villain Thoughts here, and today I'll be giving my spoiler free review of The Haunting Between Us by author Paul Michael Winters. Now, before we get started, this book is a gay romance slash supernatural horror YA, which means young adult book. But while this book is aimed at young adults, it's worth stating that this book is a pretty good read for young adults and those older, as it's compared to Heartstopper, the famous comic within the LGBTQ plus, and basically it meeting the horror novel Haunting of Hill House. Two pretty popular things in their own right, mixing together. Um, and Haunting of Hill House, from what I understand, is a very big horror book. So this book being compared to those two is insane. And I can tell you right now, I really enjoyed this book. So here's the summary. The book follows two male protagonists, Cameron Walsh, an openly gay teen boy who's lived across his hometown, is resident haunted house, lovingly known as Crimson House, a super creepy house that is home to a mysterious ghost called the White Lady. Cameron has a bit of history with the house trying to eat him, as he puts it, and isn't too thrilled by the house. Just like everyone else in the town seems to avoid this place at any and all costs. Cameron is bent on having nothing to do with this house until the new boy in town moves in. Enter Hugo Cruz, the new boy in town who has caught Cameron's eye. He and his father move around a lot. After Hugo's mother passed away, his father started buying and fixing up houses for profit. Their newest project, you guessed it, Crimson House. Poor Hugo has moved around so much he can't seem to make stable friends, or even a boyfriend. Unbeknown to his father, of course. At their age, though, you would think both Hugo and Cameron should be having fun. But when the White Lady seems more active since Hugo moved in, Cameron's best friend and paranormal obsessed content creator, Abby, wants to see just what's going on in that house. The truth, however, is far darker and more dangerous than any of them originally thought. Now, my thoughts. When I first bought this book, initially I didn't really look that much into it. I just saw the title, the cover, which is on screen, and I thought a gay romance in a haunted horror book? Yes, please. Um, so I bought it without looking too much into it, which I know is a very bad impulsive thing. But after I bought it, I realized it was a young adult book. And to be honest, I had my doubts about this book. I have in the past really enjoyed young adult fiction, but I thought this book might be a letdown. My initial expectations of the book were this was going to be good, and then finding out it was a young adult novel, I thought, this may not be what I was expecting. But boy, I was wrong. The book is really good, actually. For a young adult book, it perfectly captures the struggle and doubts that come with being young and romantically interested in someone, especially when you move around a lot. Not to mention, the actual haunting and mystery is never too far behind, even during the more romantic parts of the book. The horror and paranormal stuff is not as detailed or deep compared to a book that will be written for adults, mind you, as the primary audience is as the primary audience is after all young adults, but it's still a really interesting read and had me on the edge of my seat for the entire book. Now, I've had books that kind of lose me at certain points or just I have to muddle through certain parts, but this book did not do that. The whole point from beginning to end, I was hooked. I wanted to know more about this book. I wanted to know the mysteries, and they just kept coming and coming. Um, uh, sorry. Um, no, I was reading another book at the same time, reading The Haunting Between Us, and that book is plot and ending was so easy to see. I could read it a mile away and knew what was going to happen. But The Haunting Between Us took that far away from my mind with this book. The fact of the matter is, The Haunting Between Us has so many twists and turns and shocking moments that just when you think, hey, I know what's going on, boo! It turns out we don't know what's coming next. And the twists and turns are always there to grab you and scare the living daylights out of you. Um, this book was just so enthralling with that. And it was a pleasant distraction from the other book I was reading at the time. But of course, all that being said, would I recommend this book and who would I recommend it to? Well, I would definitely, without doubt, recommend this book. In case you couldn't tell by my enthusiasm. But the audience is definitely the question. Um, so I have to say, the audience I would recommend this book to would be young adults, definitely. I mean, it is a young adult novel, but I would also say adults like myself who don't mind reading young adult fiction. And I will say this, no judgment there. If you do like reading young adult fiction or you don't, that's a preference. I understand. But if you don't mind reading these kind of books or giving it a try, at least, I think you'll enjoy The Haunting Between Us. I love the writing and everything about it. I only had one critique, which I will get to. Um, However, I would not recommend this book for kids. So anyone younger than young adult, I would not recommend because this book does contain some suggestive themes that are considerably okay for young adults, but younger kids, not so much. The teen characters do drink twice in the story. They don't get intoxicated or anything like that, but they still drink. It's champagne, but still, that they're underage drinking, that is bad. Um, Also, there is a bit of insinuation of some intimate interaction. I do want to point out very clearly it is insinuated in the book. It is not in the book. This is not a adult romance spicy book. This is a young adult book, so it is not in detail whatsoever or even played out in the book. Um, I want to point that out because understandably hearing that it can be kind of a whoa, wait a minute moment. Um, and I completely understand that. And trust me, if this book had gone that way, I would have put it down. I would have commented on the review and told people to not read this book and to not give it to young adults because that is highly inappropriate and very disturbing. But this book does not do that, thank goodness. Um, it, for the most part, it channels the romance without the need to go into that inappropriate detail, which I think is a very fresh breeze because most adult romance novels, unfortunately, that I have seen or read, don't do that. It focuses on that. So seeing this, and unfortunately, the fact that it's only in young adult fiction and not primarily adult fiction, from at least what I've seen, you know, it kind of sucks, but the fact that The Haunting Between Us handles it very well by skipping that, I feel like it becomes very age appropriate for young adults. So Yeah. But again, it is insinuated. So if that's something that might, upset you, or something that might make you question getting this for the young adult in your life, you might not want to get this book for them, or yourself. But again, I can't stress this enough. It doesn't go into detail. There is no gross, weird scene between two teenagers, but it's insinuated. Um, so there is one last warning why you may or may not want to get this book for either yourself or a young adult, and that is there is one part in this book, only one part, where there is a body in a state of decay. Now I'm not going to get into detail because this is a spoiler-free review, but that part is kind of, you know, it's kind of unsettling. It doesn't go into great detail because, again, this is for young adults primarily. It's not a crime scene horror adult novel that is meant to disgust you and revolt you, with revolting details. They notice it, they see it, but it doesn't go into extreme detail. But still, I understand for some people that is a big no-no for reading because you don't want to read that kind of stuff, or you may not want the young adult in your life reading that either, or their parents, in case you're a grandparent or sibling, they may not want them reading it. So keep that in mind, those two warnings there. If either of those kind of make you feel uncomfortable or whatever, do not get this book. And if you're kind of questioning those, I would recommend research on the book and those two specific warnings to kind of see, is this okay? Is it not? Always, always, always do your own research for these books, beyond just these reviews, or any reviews for that matter, to make sure the book is appropriate, age appropriate for who it's supposed to be for, and that it's something that you may enjoy reading yourself if it's for you. Um, and I just feel like those two things are something that you should know as a reader. Possibly, again, if you're buying this for yourself, you should know that. Or if you're buying it for someone else, you should still keep those two things in mind, um, just in case. So, all right. My final thoughts on this book before I get to the rating system, which is The Haunting Between Us is a great YA young adult gay romance meets supernatural horror book that I think both young adults and adults alike can enjoy. It's suspenseful and leaves you guessing until the end. Though, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, that ending has me still on the edge of my seat. And I finished this book like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I'm still just so flabbergasted by the ending. And it has me really crossing my fingers, hoping for a a sequel. The epilogue, though, there are actually two critiques, sorry. The epilogue at the ending felt a bit rushed. Um, it was just, it was so short compared to the rest of the book. It felt a little rushed. Um, and I feel like a sequel would kind of balance that out, possibly. But at the same time, I also understand with these types of books, you want to wrap everything up quickly so you don't take away from the fact this is a ghost supernatural book as well. Um, I, the other critique I have is there were some characters in this book that kind of get sidelined, like they were pushed into the corner and forgotten about. Um, these characters kind of felt like they were going to be important in some way to the story, and they kind of just were used briefly or introduced briefly and then kind of just vanished from the narrative, and that was a little disappointing to see. Because of those two critiques, I will give this book 4 out of 5 Rainbow Hearts. Um, Again, it's a good book, but those two critiques, the epilogue being so short and feeling like it was rushed, and those characters kind of just vanishing like that. Not vanishing, but not being there when it felt like they would have some kind of deeper interaction with the two main characters. I can't give it 5 out of 5, unfortunately, but I did enjoy this book greatly. Um, so 4 out of 5 Rainbow Hearts. And let me know, guys, in the comments down below if you would, if you want the rating system to be Rainbow Hearts or Rainbow Skulls, perhaps. Considering this is a channel about gay romance books as well as villain backstories and retellings. Um, that kind of fits that little niche there. Or maybe I should just do skulls for the villain stories. Let me know, sorry, what you guys want to see with the rating system there. Um, all right. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. Uh so let me see here. Sorry guys. My notes are a little everywhere. uh Also, sorry, I wanted to let you guys know that I will be doing a spoiler review next for The Haunting Between Us, and this is how I'll kind of do the videos on the channel. We will have a spoiler-free review always first for those who may have not read the book yet and may be interested in reading the book, and then a spoiler-filled review where I talk more in depth about things. Now, those reviews may be shorter or longer than these initial reviews. I'm not sure yet, and I think it depends on the book. But yes, the next review will be a spoiler review for The Haunting Between Us, or spoiler discussion of The Haunting Between Us. So, yes, also, the next book that I plan to review is a adult book. So, this was a young adult. Do not expect that for the channel going forward. If it's a gay romance or villain backstory, I'll read it, no matter if it's for adult or young adult. But I think most of these books are going to be for adults, so don't expect this to be a YA channel. It is a gay romance and villain backstory / retelling channel. So young adult or adult, I'll read them. Just so you guys know. Alright, so that's going to be it for this review. Again, The Haunting Between Us by Paul Michael Winters is a good young adult book. I highly recommend it. And let me know in the comments down below if you have plans to get this book for yourself or someone else. You don't have to specify who that someone else is. If this is a book you're interested in, or if this is a pass for you. If you're going to pass on this book, that's perfectly fine. Do keep the comments friendly, please. No attacking each other, no disrespecting other people's opinions. And make sure, if you don't mind, if you enjoyed this review, to hit that like button, as it does help and support the channel. And make sure to subscribe to Rainbow Hearts Villain Thoughts. And hit that notification bell and set it to all posts. That way, the next review I do, you will be notified on. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you later. And keep reading, my fellow readers. I can't wait for the next review. Bye.